Speaking of Val, I'm going to formally introduce them. Valois J Vera, he, they, aka Crip Lyrical, is a poet, author, and cultural worker based out of so-called Denton, Texas. While his journalism can be found in New Mobility magazine, Latino Rebels, and Rooted in Rights, their poetry has been published by Spoonie Press, Molly House, and the anthology American Graveyard, Calls to End Gun Violence, Volume 1 by Red or Green Press. They are the author of 3 collections of poetry, Crip Lyrics, the Unapologetic Poetry of Disability from Poor Press from 2001, I, the Revolution, self-published at Ingram Spark in 2023, and most recently, a very beautiful collection, Love, Liberation, and Other Longings by Red and Green Books from earlier this month in 2024. Valois founded the Thunder and Lightning Poetry Collective, a movement dedicated to amplifying and uplifting the work of disabled BIPOC and disabled queer poets. He is the recipient of the 2023 Art Spark Texas Lynn Marie Johnson Media Arts Award and the 2024 American Association of People with Disabilities Paul G. Hearn Emerging Leader Award. All right, I'm going to paste some links into the chat, and Valois, take it away.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that introduction. Just a quick correction. Open mics are 5 minutes each, so just to let everyone know. So features are 15 and the open mics are 5. But we have plenty of time. So welcome everyone to Storm the Mic, a virtual poetry showcase exclusively featuring disabled BIPOC and disabled queer poets. It's truly an honor to always serve as your host for this event and share the virtual stage with some really good poets. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. Just a general content warning. Some of the poetry may contain content language or adult language or themes of trauma or oppression. Self-care, please feel free to be comfortable, practice self-care. If that means you have to leave the room or turn off your camera or eat or drink or lay down, please take care of yourself. This space is designed to support and uplift and amplify. And that said, we do ask that you keep your microphones muted through the duration of the event. However, we strongly encourage everyone to show your support if you're able by snapping your fingers or clapping your hands or using the reaction buttons on your screen. And please feel free to flood the chat area with words of affirmation and hoorays and all the good stuff. Yeah, and then also, as the Laura said, the majority of tonight's posts will have their links and socials. Some may have their pay links. If a poet moves you to donate a few dollars to their work, feel free to do so. Not required, but more importantly, follow them, connect with them, and show them some love. Yeah, so let's go on with the show. We're really excited to have 2 features on this show as we come to the end of another Disability Pride Month. And I hope everyone's Crip Pride Month was as beautiful and as wonderful as you wanted it to be. So it's great to bring on these poets. We're gonna do our 2 co-features on 1 poem each, and we'll do that. We'll get to introducing them a little later on. But first, let's have Suzi with the 1 poem. Hey, Suzi.
Thank you so much for having me. This poem I'd like to open with was originally published in New American Writing a long, long time ago. It's called Invalid. You turn your scars to the iris of the sun, so the pure whiteness will soothe the barnacles of pain. There are those on disability, but you work, always flexing against the slash in your face, the steel in your spine, and the ever-present Arctic flowers of exhaustion. No one sees your naked darkness when you are a stillness shackled to your own history, when you are a purple welter, when you are a freight train to nowhere, too private for politics, when you are broken and rusting, when the eternal moment finds you sweating and riding razors of breath, eventually something medical will invade you inquisitively, but you are in the caves of your creation by then. Later, in the further off kilter, it is the mundane which must be conquered, to keep moving, to wash a dish, to carry a blanket. The able-bodied will abandon comprehension, casting careless of their blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. That's a great poem. Thank you for starting off the evening with that offering. Wonderful, wonderful. Our next co-feature, I don't know if he's in the room. Laura, do you see Said?
Yes, he is here.
Awesome. All right, Said, you got your one poem. Take it away.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me here, everybody. This piece is called Black Muslim Autistic Muslim Black Man Walks Through Airport.docx. Thinking about the fact that being autistic means eye contact is difficult on a good day, or that I'm a Black Muslim man in America who has to navigate airports on a regular basis, or what it means to go back to Africa and what it means to come back from Africa. Thinking about John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City, New York State. Thinking about the TSA agents that I know are waiting for me and only me at that airport and every airport. Thinking about what it means to be seen as suspicious because of my skin, my faith, who I am, where I was born, and what people like me have been known to do. Thinking about the fact that being autistic means making eye contact is difficult on your best day, or what it means for someone like me to walk through an airport, aware of all the suspicions surrounding him. Thinking about how hard it is to make eye contact with people on a good day, let alone when I'm having a nervous anxiety breakdown in an airport, because I'm Black, because I'm Muslim, because I am a so-called terrorist, because I can't make eye contact to save my life. Thinking about what it means to make eye contact against my will with people who want to question me against my will, or how to survive this country long enough to see my death day, my casket. To die of natural causes is my biggest dream. Thinking about praying for death on a good day, or preferring death to walking through TSA after an international flight to a place suspicious of terrorist activities. You know, my country is suspicious of terrorist activities. You know, I was born in a country that is alleged to have committed terrorist activities. by another terrorist activity committing country, Somalia, USA. Thinking about how the fuck am I gonna get through this fucking line? Thinking about how I wish life was easier. May Allah make it easy or easier. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Said. Oh, that was good. I like that. I like the intersectional experiences going on at the same time there. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we'll hear more from Said in a few. But let's go on with our open mics, our three open micers. First, our good friend, poet and badass overall person, Sueitko Zamorano Chavez.
Hi all, I'm gonna keep my camera off. I have low spoons today, but I'm very excited to be here. I'm gonna give well, my camera's off, so it's just a black screen with white letters that spell out my name, Sueitko, and then my initials for the last of my two last names, ZC. I want to share with you my cancer poem. This one I've shared before, so if you've heard it before, just enjoy it. And if it's your first time, yeah. So, content warning. It's about cancer, and there's some talk about pain and struggling with the things that are, chronic illness. So, cancer poem. I am not alone. I am a fighter. I am a survivor. When the monster grows, tranquility flows with understanding, feeling gratitude for kindness. When the poison drips, emotions flow with thoughts, fueling words for poetry. When the body aches, pain flows with agony, fueling images for art. When the hair falls, love flows with passion, feeling energy for connectivity. When the news hits, shock flows with fear, fueling passion for community. I am not alone. I am a fighter. I am a survivor. I am a survivor. I am a fighter. I am not alone. Fueling passion for community. Shock flows with fear when the news hits. Fueling energy for connectivity. Love flows with passion when the hair falls. Fueling images for art. Pain flows with agony when the body aches. Fueling words for poetry. Emotions flow with thoughts when the poison drips. Fueling gratitude for kindness. Tranquility flows with understanding when the monster grows. I am a survivor. I am a fighter. I am not alone. Thank you. So that's my first poem. And I wanted to read that one because that is the reason why I have low spoons today. Well, not the only reason. It was a heavy day, but I did live a life once upon a time with not having to worry about spoons or chronic illness. But, that's why I wrote this poem, to remind myself and others that it's a struggle, but I'm a survivor and I'm here and community keeps me going. So thank you for including me in this community. And speaking of community, I'm really bad with time. So if someone wants to nudge me, just let me know and I will definitely come off on the last one. I want to read this very short poem. It is in progress, but it was inspired by a writing prompt from Val's writing The Revolution. So June, was it June? I'm sorry, y'all. I go to a lot of Val's workshops. So, but it was definitely one of this year's workshops. So this one is called War. And there's a content warning. War talks of use of sexual assault in a creative but a very forward way, talking about the way that folks lose to war in different ways. So, war. WAR. With all rage. Capitalized. I mean, capitalism. A suppressor's unjust game. Fighting over land that is or isn't theirs. Struggle for power with tactics of tyranny. With an arrow of fear piercing through the hearts of the peaceful. Are my people warriors? Of course, but as protectors of our own people and ways of being, not as pillagers of land or spaces, not as rapists of people or minds, not as thieves of resources or culture, not in hate or bigotry, not in fear of being the lesser than, not in greed to take all from another. So yes, my people are warriors, of course, but as protectors of our ways of being. Thank you.
Thank you, Sueitko. Oh, was that? I'm sorry.
No, is that a good on my time?
I wasn't keeping track. Are we good, Laura?
Yeah, I would listen. I would hear one more.
I think I would hear one more too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you. I will do a shortish one. This one has some Spanish in it, so bear with me. It's kind of on the same lengths of like activist, forward poetry. A lot of my pieces are this way. And this one's called Tu lucha es mi lucha. Tu lucha es mi lucha. Your fight is my fight. Your woes, pains, and struggles are mine too. Because we are people of this land, and our ancestors are primos and amigues, which makes you mine too. Hopes and prayers don't stop genocide and mass destruction. Action and authentic solidarity will bring us victory. For those that do not believe one person can make waves, we need you so we can. It is multiple drops in the ocean that make a collective splash. It is together as one wave. It is loud as we crash against the shore of injustices as one. Que luchamos juntos para libertad y nunca olvidamos nuestra chispa para justicia. And I'll translate that last line. That we fight for liberty and we never forget the spark for justice. Thank you. And that'll be my last poem for the night. And y'all can find me doing workshops for Thunder and Lightning Poetry Collective. And I'll put where you can follow me on IG in the chat. Thank you all so much for having me. And I'm excited. I already love the poems, of course, and I'm excited to hear everybody else. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Sueitko. Give it up for Sueitko in the chats. Throw some emojis out there. Give her some thumbs up. I love that war poem. So good. Our next poet is new to the Storm the Mic stage. She's a disabled mixed race Asian American poet who writes about life with long COVID and myalgic encephalomyelitis. I'm sure I messed that up. MECFS. Please welcome MS Marquart.
Thank you so much. And I'm really grateful to be celebrating Disability Pride Month with you all.
Thank you.
I've got 3 pretty short poems. So I'll just get started. Oh, and my physical description, I'm a Asian American woman with long dark hair, and I'm in bed, propped up with some lights behind me. All right, the first one is called My Body Says No. Sunlight shoves through the curtains, invading my dark bedroom, beckoning, tempting, taunting. reminding me that the wind is threatening the cherry tree's fleeting blossoms. The tulip's petals are fading. You must come see, the sunlight says. It must be now. My body says no. My body says, this week we will not leave your bed. Instead, I get my nature fix from memories. I picture the sacred hush of the redwood forest, the lively green of the Korean mountains, the gondola gliding through Central Park's lake. I get my nature fix from technology. I scroll through photos of orange sunset at the Grand Canyon, playful elephants in Kruger National Park. It is not enough. Outside my curtains, the birds call. There's life out here, come see. My body says no. All right, the second one is called Power. It has a little forward here. I'm sorry to hear that your doctor has written a letter stating that due to your long COVID and ME/CFS disabilities, your health will be severely and irreversibly damaged by coming into the office. You may have done this job remotely for years, but now you need to come in 3 days a week. What may I do from home? And what must I do in the office my job provides? Answer emails, work on spreadsheets, read articles and guides, talk on the phone, join web meetings, collaborate with remote colleagues nationwide, facilitate virtual trainings, draft presentation slides. My boss decides. When coming to the office permanently harms my health, what is worth making me sick? Being available just in case my boss needs to pop in for something quick? Needing all bodies in the office to justify the rent expense uptick? Being physically closer to participate in the vicious internal politics? Sitting at a desk for any VIP's boot that needs a lick? My boss has the power to pick. How much will my health deteriorate? Will I never be able to go have coffee with friends? Never take my husband on a date? Never travel to see my aging parents again who live in another state? Never stargaze, never lie on a beach, never watch the spring flowers in the park regenerate? Never earn another degree, never learn an instrument, never artistically create? Never achieve my dreams, never have a day when my health feels great? My boss controls my fate. Might I live or might I die? My boss decides. All right, and the last one is called One Disabled Person to Another. I mail my mother pictures of flowers blooming outside my apartment. Flaming orange daylilies, fragrant red roses, opulent purple hydrangeas, all aglow in afternoon sunlight. Take a picture with my phone, upload to an app that prints, stamps, sends it to her, and then rest. After her strokes, her English is fading, and my teachers told her not to teach me Korean. Earnest command so that my future in white America wouldn't be ruined by speaking something other than the dominant language. Now it turns out they stole my future conversations with my mother. But we don't have the energy to talk on the phone anyway. Speaking exhausts each of us. Her with her aphasia, and me with my long COVID and myalgic encephalomyelitis. We say quick hellos on FaceTime, and she shows me that another photo has arrived, waving it in front of the phone with a smile. Comforted that I was thinking of her, cheered for a moment by our shared experience of nature's beauty. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, MS, for sharing your words with us. Thank you so much. Everybody give it up for MS Marquart. If their socials and stuff on chat, feel free to connect with them and follow them. And welcome to the family, MS. So thank you for being here for the first time, and definitely not your last. Our next and last open mic describes themselves as a creative who ran out of tools. So I grabbed passion and painted the atmosphere. Please welcome Roses.
Hello, everyone. My name is Roses. I am a Black American man sitting up today, and I'm going to share some poetry with y'all. This first poem is entitled Shadows in the Mirror. Content warning, it does speak on my battle with depression. Have I really been working on myself? Or did I just change from my work clothes to something more comfortable? Is this depression? Or is it just the pigment of my skin? Can I defeat you, detach from you? Or are you fingerprinted to my thoughts that I'm simply running away from me? Sometimes I wish I could just escape me. Myself wears a mask, and I am tired of getting dressed up just to feel down. I'm Black, said my mind. I live in the shadows of sadness, watching the sunlight from a distance. If only the heat from the sun's smile would kiss me, maybe it would melt away my sadness. I'm Black, said my words, followed by your different. They won't accept you. You don't fit in. I'm Black, says the mirror, looking at the reflection of depression. I get so lost in my waning emotions. My waxing moon can barely breathe. It's so cold that even the rays of light feel sad. I'm Black. I'm depressed. I'm Black. I'm oppressed. I'm Black. I'm obsessed with the idea of my feelings living on equal ground. I'm Black. I'm depressed. The two interchange while beginning to sound the same. So much so, I took depression's last name. When I look at me, I see one broken piece. I can't find the rest of the lyrics to my song. Maybe it's because the writer will never finish it. Maybe it's because I didn't cry enough to water my heart. I'm Black. I'm dirt. But my soil is killing the last remaining rose. I am a rose with bloody red regrets for petals. I put my failures on a pedestal. So every time I tried to look up, I got nowhere. I'm lost, and I keep letting the gray line give me directions because there's a thin line between joy and happiness, and in the middle is pity where you can find me. I'm Black, so they think I stole these 5 minutes of happiness, and so what if I did? Everyone deserves 15 minutes of fame, and mine's is coming soon. But right now, I just want to smile and actually feel the laughter hold me instead of the facade that hugs me like a long embrace. This morning, I stopped running and looked depression in the face. My mind is not yours. It is the Lord's. Yes, let the battle begin. And I am going to share one more poem with y'all. I love to write about love and relationships. So here's a poem about that. And it is entitled To Love a Poet. Once upon a time, I fell in love, but it was different because I fell for a poet. So the fall was more like a jump out of an airplane, scared for my life, putting up all my walls as I fall through the air. And she would just spray paint my fears into something beautiful. To skin your knee for a poet is to bruise your heart, but in a good way. Because you see, poetry different when you love within the poem still being written. You notice things you would never open your eyes for. You try things not because you want to, but you want to have that moment with her. You want to see her smile that's tattooed to your slumber, that smile that blooms because you were there. And you begin to love something you wouldn't give a second thought to because of her. And then it hurts, knowing the possibility of it all leaving. Pain bruises when she's upset. The eyes of my heart are watery because she is a poet, which means she's not ready to settle down. Her butterfly wings still have more adventures to write about. I know I'm just a poem in her book, but it's a damn good poem. So I don't care that the ending was not how I would leave the period, because to love a poet is to live. To love a poet is to be able to defy gravity. To love a poet is to have a moment you'll never forget. P.S. Thank you for helping me write my own poems. Thank you guys so much for having me. Again, my name is Roses. You can find me on social media at Sculpted Roses Company. So thankful for this space, and all of you in this community continue to love and uplift each other.
Thank you, brother. And thank you for being here and sharing your stuff. So I've had the pleasure of sharing the in-person stage with Roses a couple times. So that was cool to be in poetry space with you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise.
So we're going to move on to now our two features, our co-features. And we heard them a little bit earlier. We're going to get about a good 15 minutes from each of them. Our first co-feature is a poet, writer, equestrian, editor-in-chief of the Eco-Feminist Poetry Chapbook series Red Mayor, and 2023 Sueitko Fellow. Her recent release include Flux and Danky, in addition to inclusion in the anthologies Border Beats and Florida Bards. Please welcome Suzi.
Thank you for having me. I'd like to start with this poem that was published a while back in Wishbone Words, Refuge. I found them in a pile of bones, so many still alive, all mounded in a quadrant pile, the sector of decapitations to the southwest. I took who I could in a hasty moment, filling the transport in minutes. For the first few hours they rode in the sun, making of an ordinary Sunday Their first night, they slept in the 5 containers in which I had smuggled them, still open to predation. And so, this Monday morning, a crisp, bright day, they began the housing. Those who don't like the Arctic storms of climate disruption went under established bamboo, native to a Midlands now called China. I tried to keep to their apparent tribes, some genetic similarity, some hope of an uncontained life if they can negotiate a Florida oak already rooted a decade, the obvious child of the stately elder across the fence. We rest the spell to scrawl and stretch the spine. There are still the Mediterranean ones who look to have been well housed. Their oblongs are still intact. They will go to the garlics and the holy basil, their cousin. But there's one hybrid exotic, well endowed, and 2 cast into the mound of bodies, left to die under a tree, surrounded by tractor tire tracks and near a land again flooding. Okay. This next poem is called Present Tense. I dream, I don't dream, I don't want to. Heavily painted white siding, a yard of flowering trees. The cat has a creamy mane, opens his mouth wide, too wide. The universe blinks, too. There is a circular travel bag in olive pleather, set up upon pale travertine, grimed with a century of transience under public lighting. 3. What is awake? The sound of water, a crane calling past the trees, awareness of the air in distance. 4. Mama's house had windows at the front, a column of light, solid core door, mid-century cathedral ceiling, floating stairs. Walked down to door. Out the window, past screening shrubbery in the dark, to the left, up the hill. Headlights, they're coming fast. I can feel them, darker in the night with malevolence. I can feel them. And the light says yes, because they cross Garden Prize yard right for the glass. Me watching them come, I yell, call 911 to those above and behind me. Call 911 and sit up in the dark. The cat's an elevation, a voice at the ear that hears still a bit. Shh, shh. You mean that? The third of the 4 poems I'd like to present to you will be eventually a poem of the week. It's called The Pink and Gold of Morning. This ever escaping now, barefoot in the courtyard, water from a spigot, the day lilies first spring bloom. This is the now of lifelong longing. This Coca-Cola, this cigarette, this listening to grasshoppers. I walk bringing water to trees planted, hands, knees, watched at a few paces by the elderly sandhill crane couple who recognize me but hesitate to bend again delicately at the seed feeders. It is this work of years, of my hands, my bit of land. To wish when I refuse to cry with more than silence now, to wish and reply with the witness of my eyes, with I with ever under the sky, and whose wish, my wish, when through the air I hear broken elderly women at treatment who just want to go home. Through the air I hear the flying lives who sing above our ears, and their prayers green lives beg the sky with. Which wish, which longing shall we ask the crow to tell us thy will with some light which rises? Cannot deny this day. And so shall we list our lives which bumped that time which causes pause? Whose wish, whose breath sighs with this desiderata as noon rises in our now, and once again, because we think of our time with Osiris and a device which desires touch, has no longings, and which longing, when it is long I long for, I beyond the die with a color in a distant time. And this poem I wrote for this event. It has a Borg Diem title, which I made a little drawing of, which I don't know if, let's see if the camera can see. Yeah, all right, let's see if you can see that. It is a bracket, a capital D and a bracket, but they are in reverse. It's pronounced bracket D. The epigram for the poem is from Baudelaire. Quote, "The livid morning falls. To live in a disabled body, to turn the deaf ear skyward, where bloom the flowers of evil that root in growling ground, sightless with nausea, folded, undone, a disabled body, the scarring to vision, line is lost to light. This disabled body, your food poisons me, ears to knees, I am oozing, I am writhing, fevered and drenched, the spasms, the heartbeat, the spasms, the hours, this body, this knot of bones breathes, but is a wafer of flesh. Come find me in the midnight. I am usually naked. Only the unseeing air touches me. I cannot help but offer myself back into the ages of now. Into the mirror is the eroded beach of ancestors. Offer my fragile self, half a haunt and haunted, trembling with tachycardia, trembling in the heat." Thank you. Oh, I have the extra if you want the extra, but thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you very much for sharing your work with us. And please feel, everyone give it up for Susie, uplift and amplify their work. It's always good to have you with us in this space. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
Our second and last co-feature tonight is a late diagnosed autistic and ADHD Somali artist and disability advocate. He works in words, pictures, and film. He's a 2024 MacDowell Fellow and was awarded a 2024 Minnesota State Arts Education Grant to lead a BIPOC autistic writing group. His debut book, Are You Bored Now? Was a 2022 Minnesota Book Award finalist in creative nonfiction and memoir, I actually have that book in my bookcase. He hates Taylor Swift and pickles. So you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm not gonna say which one either, because the Swifties can be kind of rough.
Yeah. What about
So-
pickle enthusiasts? Have you ever run into them? They take it very
Oh,
seriously.
wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
This is a treat. See, I got this part of Said on Facebook. These random thoughts, and then I get to see that person. I was like, ooh, I never thought about that. Anyway, well, please welcome Said. Thanks, man.
Word. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everybody that's here tonight. Thank you for sharing your beautiful work, and for helping foster this beautiful space on this beautiful Disability Pride Month. Shoot. Let's go ahead and start. This one's called James Baldwin Smoking Cocoa Puffs with Larry Levis at the End of the Universe, Eye on Stolen Fish. It's been a long time since I dreamed something more beautiful than life itself. But last night, I dreamt a beautiful life for myself. And this morning, I coughed cobwebs into empty cereal bowls. And this afternoon, an old man stole my Cocoa Puffs in front of the masjid. I feel myself falling into tunnels I no longer know how to travel. And if I wake up on the other side of Earth tonight, all I'll ask for is 2 flashlights, one to light the way, one to light the crushed pack of Newports in my thief pocket. If I woke up on the back of a horse, I'd ask Larry Levis if the sky is the same color as the blue stone he used to knock out my teeth. I'd ask the horse if he knew the difference between a path and a hearse. I'd ask the hearse if life was meant for something less tragic than the back of a hearse. And if it were possible, I'd ask death why he flirted with my life so much. And if I could, I'd ask my life why it kept me lurching through mush. And if my life could talk, it would say, finish your Reese's peanut butter lover's cup before asking stupid questions. And if my Reese's peanut butter lover's cup could speak, they would say, there's a man at the end of the universe who has a question for you and only you about stolen fish. Now I'm at the end of time, looking back on galaxy formation, on binary stars, on beat breaks looped to infinity and back. I read inside a video the other day, and I heard Baldwin say, people only care about writers when they're dead. A little black boy in the audience asked Baldwin if black writers had a chance now, because of people like him leading the way. Baldwin smiled and said, they never had a chance. Black writers never had a chance. White writers too, but less so. But nevertheless, nobody cares about a writer until they're dead. I asked myself what he meant by that and why those words felt so right. Well, I told myself, it's because dead writers can't talk back. They can't write back, clap back, smile on a horse's back. And all the non-writers of this world, slithering like white folks or snakes, will twist writers' words until the dead writer has no choice but to rise up from the grave and say, what the fuck is wrong with you? I never said any of that shit. But it's deeper than rap. Dead writers make living cowards' dreams come true, and the living ways dreams the dead would do better to pursue. Okay. Let's see. All right, next poem is called Noose Theory. The noose is all I think about these days. I was interpreting a children's hospital once in the occupational therapy room. They had all kinds of toys and devices to help young kids learn fine motor skills. I never liked making eye contact with people, find it distracting. I especially didn't do it when I was interpreting. It's hard to play that off in real life, so I said stuff like, it helps me focus on what's being said. I was facing a wall-length mirror during that same interpreting session. The provider and parents of the child were going back and forth, I was doing my thing, interpreting, not looking at anything but my own reflection in this giant wall-length mirror. I look up, as I so often do in life, and notice a contraption hanging from the ceiling. I can't remember why it was there. What I do remember is that there was a literal fucking noose hanging from the ceiling, inside of a children's hospital. Pray tell, what kind of work y'all do at this children's hospital? There's a book on lynchings written by Ida B. Wells sitting on my desk at home. I flipped through it once, never opened again. I do remember there was a section on the lynching of mentally disabled people. Apparently, it was the easiest way to dispose of quote-unquote unfit Negroes. White mentally disabled people got sent to institutions. Tragic, terrible history in this country. Made me cry when I first read about them. Autistic that I am, I naively thought, shit, if I was alive back then, they would have thrown me in one of those asylums. Yeah, fucking right, nigga. They'd have hung your ass from the nearest poplar tree. I think about disability rights and advocacy and all the other bullshit. And then I remember, they don't even see you as a human being. Why the fuck would they care about your disability? I write about these things knowing full well that a country incapable of acknowledging that you are, in fact, not an animal will have no place to understand the nuanced intersection of disability and race, or the fact that I was born in a country which fell apart thanks to their meddling, and which is still destabilized to this country to this day, thanks to, again, their meddling. It could be worse, though. Palestinians, Uyghurs, Rohingya, all oppressed in concentration camps, chased from their lands, genocide. All of them Muslim. Have you noticed that? Even if I wasn't black, they still want me erased from this world. I would laugh if it wasn't so sad, but that's okay. Allah got our back. This one is called Number 9, Don't Die Even When You Feel Not Alive. In A Map to the Door of No Return, Dion Brand writes, the money that financed Columbus's voyage to the Americas came from a tax which Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile obtained from the church for waging a just and holy war against the Moorish kingdom of Granada and Islam as a whole. Granada surrendered on January 2nd, 1492. Columbus set sail in April 1492. End quote. In my retelling of past suicide attempts, I still blame myself. A friend asked me recently, what kind of Muslim are you with all this suicide talk? Taking your life is against Islam. I told her, I'm a Muslim who's trying not to die. But if I had a time machine, I'd go back and tell her, I'm a Black Muslim in America. It's a miracle more of us don't want to die. I still chastise myself for the harms of white supremacy committed against my body corporal, my body spiritual. I still blame myself for the pain that others bring me. I guess that's how I was raised, to always smile, even when I mean to cry, especially when I mean to cry. Okay, this one is called Said the Poem. My name is Said. It's spelled like Said, S-A-I-D. He said, she said. There's this common thing where you're submitting stuff, trying to get published in poetry. They always ask you to like remove your name from the poem so we don't know who it is. And I'm like, you don't know me anyway, so what's the point? So, said the poem. Said the performance artist, not said the poem, not said the depressive manic, not said the addict, not said the skater or user or abuser or anything really. Said the man who's trying to make it to become something. Said the self-repressed who has killed his old ways of writing because they were not accepted enough by him, perhaps not clear enough to the world. Said the nigga, the black, the nail. Said the thug, younger. Said the drug, younger. Said the plug, younger. Said the protozoa, younger. Said the nothing, said still fronting. Mouth full of fresh fruit, said the still scene painted by Matisse. Said the Van Gogh exhibit he drives by every week. Said who never stops to smell the roses or the panties. said in a rush, in a daze, on purple haze, said the album, said still solid, said never left, always bereft, said the melody, the melancholy, said the detracted, the intractable, said the capstone, said the oat milk foam on said's London fog, said the honey, the vanilla at the bottom of said fog, said the emotion, said the dying, said the living, said the stolen breath, said the properly defined participle, said the head nod, the repetitive, said the clicker, the clacker, the gun strapper, said the warble, the wobble, the woozy MacDonald, said on the track, dropping fire, said the pyrotechnic supplier, said the tired, the autistic, the forever misunderstood shit, said the sad, said whose name means happy, but who so very often finds himself the opposite of said. Said the young nigga with an old body, said the old head with a young face, said in recovery, said in relapse, said the stolen breath, said who repeated himself, said the police fleer, the overseer, the bloody cool leader, said in the two-door coupe, all white, something nasty on his right side, said the foodie, said got a groupie, said hand sliding up her thigh, said flying up the New Jersey Turnpike, said the Santana, said oh boy, said Killer Cam, Dipset, all pink, said got teased for having no vertical by a 6'6" tall nigga who was backup on the basketball team but could barely dunk, said who looks back on that and laughs in ironic Italian font. Said the young head, the old bull, the camera lens attached to his pendant chain, said the football head, said the hungry, said the epic epistolary poem, said who read the guidelines about not putting one's name in poetry competitions and laughed because what the fuck is a poem, stripped of its author, said wonders how the fuck a poem can exist outside of the construct which created it. Said the construct which created this poem, said who is the poem, who lives in the poem, who keeps his head low, said the two words United States, slow brow, high stakes, no love, tough breaks, crack smoke, black folk, Big Macs, fat folk, ecstasy, capsules, presidential scandals, everybody, move, two words most deaf, two words free Palestine. All right. Shut up. Okay. Okay, what are we gonna go with? It's so hard to choose. All right, I like this one. It's called A Man Who Prays with His Gun. I wanted to write a Galkayo story about goats in mosques, about a man walking into that same mosque with his AK-47, setting it down before him to pray, and how I'd look back a few years later thinking, did you come to pray for the sake of Allah, or are you worshiping that gun? In hindsight, I realized that one must defend one's life wherever possible. Just because you walk into a mosque with a gun doesn't mean you'll kill everyone inside of it. It means you want to live while living in a country where life is ever in question. In Islam, we are taught to put our full trust in Allah. In Somalia, you trust Allah, but you also trust your gun because you can't always afford to trust your neighbor. You maintain faith in a predetermined time for your death, but you also stay strapped. You just want to live. Goats walk into mosques, you know. Goats also press themselves against the sun-baked walls of houses and fall asleep standing against the chipped paints. I always imagined that they were praying to Allah in their own way. It could be that they were just resting, but Allah knows best. I like the stories in my head better than the reality before me. Stories are more exciting than reality. Reality makes me sleepy, makes me want to get under the covers, makes me weepy. Okay, diary, that's all for now. I have to get dressed and pretend to be some kind of wonderful, some kind of African fantastic, autistic galactic. I'm just trying to make it. like a man who prays with his gun, like a goat eating cardboard under the Somali sun. Okay, one more poem. What are we gonna go with? I had like a plan when I came in, but my mind changes a lot. And I realized that the plan didn't feel as good after the fact. All right, let's just do mango mush. I like mango mush. No, I changed my mind. I can't. See, this is what I do. This is how I live. It's messed up. It's hard. This one's called Spiritual Struggle You Won't Understand. Minneapolis, 2022. Kodak Black and Jack Boy blast through your AirPods. You don't know nothing about the struggle, so you won't understand. I keep talking about the struggle because it made me a man. You sit on the football couch Sunday. It's 30 degrees outside of a blessing. It was in the low tens yesterday. The window is balcony open. The snow sounds melting like rainfall. You false this to be known rain. You about shift pain. Struggle about the thinking days. You don't explore this memory, but you feel called to write. You are triggered by Facebook. Someone asks about spiritual abuse in your community. Quote, are kids being beaten in Quran schools? You, a survivor of such abuse who was beaten in Duksi in Quran school, scream, what? You, a survivor of such abuse, begin to cry. Someone who looks like people who abused you said, yes, this is a form of discipline. It is cultural. The parents know it's happening. It is cultural, accepted back home. The kids who grew up here don't know their heritage, so they call it abuse, but they're misguided. Is spiritual abuse happening in your community? You sit on your couch on this football Sunday, false rain, snow, melt, prattling a symphony orchestra on your balcony, and you raise your hand to your head like an orate, palm outward. You can't believe what you're reading. You don't know about the struggle, so you won't understand. An old therapist said trauma can affect all of your relationships, especially with God. You ask her if getting physically, verbally, emotionally abused in the name of faith would cause spiritual trauma. She says, yes, of course, the worst kind of trauma. She is Muslim and she raises her children in a way that you wish you were raised. You cry as you type this. You're always crying, always typing. I keep talking about the struggle because it made me a man. You wonder what it means to be a man. You block people on Facebook in ways not associated with being a man. You never learned what it means to be a man. You will likely die this way, but they don't understand. Kodak keeps you company. You take pictures now. You run past emotions, eat the pain away. Now stop writing. Now walk away. Now come back. You always come back. You are a prisoner to your emotions, to the past, to the circumstances of your circumcision, age 10, Berrien, Southwest Seattle, White Center, poverty. Around the same time, you had your appendix taken out, emergency. You complained of stomach pain at Duksi. They said you're lying, fake sick, couldn't memorize your Quran. You said, no, I threw up on the side of the freeway on the way here. Well, you shouldn't have eaten all that junk food. You search the room for cameras while clutching that stomach in knots. You learn to assume everything is your fault. Your body is a guilt. You are soon rushed to the emergency room. They take pictures, make scans, appendix about to rupture, emergency surgery, another ambulance ride, another hospital. They put you under. You wake up in a children's hospital. They have Nintendo 64. You play Wave Runner. The Seattle Sea Pirates come to visit. You are happy you get to miss Quran school. You feel ashamed to say this. I keep talking about the struggle, but you don't understand. Or maybe they can't understand. You cry with your therapist. You realize why you once left your faith. You were routinely beaten in the name of that faith. And thus you associated Islam with pain, associated God with hate. You felt cursed, ashamed. You sometimes still do, though logically, you know God loves you. God loves you, but people have done terrible things to you in God's name. It's hard to balance. This makes you cry. You are always crying, always blocking people on Facebook. You don't see the connection. Trauma affects our ability to connect. It also makes relationships difficult. A relationship with Allah, you haven't prayed in weeks, feel hopeless. You say forgive me when you can. You cling to whatever you can. You know that trauma is the villain. You search for pockets of gratitude. Now bow your head, son. You have an appointment with a therapist tomorrow. You have a job interview before that. You'll cry in between those two appointments. You'll cry until no tears remain. You will cry until it resembles snow, melted false rain prattling on your balcony, a symphony orchestra. You feel ashamed to write that. You ask for Allah's forgiveness. You do not ask his forgiveness on behalf of the people who hurt you in his name. You want to curse those people, but you are too soft-hearted. You settle for not asking for their forgiveness. And you know that on Judgment Day, everyone will see justice, just as you will regret everyone you wrong. But you don't care about that right now. You only care about your pain. You've overcome addiction and disbelief by his mercy. Your family helped, and though it pains you to say, your family hurt. This is the nature of pain, to come to love those who love you but cause you pain. Lastly, you are autistic, my friend, meaning you feel everything. I keep talking about the struggle so you won't understand how we feel everything. Word. Thank you all so much.
Wow. Give it up for Said. Thank you, bro, for sharing your work here. And first time I've gotten to hear your poetry, and it's transcendent. It's very cool. Yeah, keep working on that memoir. Don't give up on that. Yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you for being here. Yeah. I apologize. I failed to give my video description. I'm a lightly tan Latino male appearing, wearing a brown flat cap, tinted glasses. I have a full gray and some black beard, and I'm wearing a collared plaid shirt. Behind me is the kitchen. Thank you, everyone, for being in this space. I'm going to close with a poem. But first, thank you to the poets who came here and really shared their work and their voices and spoke truth to power. So I appreciate each of you for being here. Thank you for Art Texas and Coalition of Texas with Disabilities for supporting us with our ASL interpreter and captioning. Thank you to our ASL interpreters and captioners. And thank you all for being here and supporting our work. I'm going to end with a poem. It's a poem that's in my new book, Love, Liberation, and Other Longings. And it's an anthem. It's an anthem to not just the disability community, but for also anyone who's ever felt othered or different. Goes like this. It's called Sing Me a Broken Song. Sing me a broken song until your voice produces shards of stained glass, each one a unique shade, each one a unique shape. Sing me a broken song until it is known that the symbol for difference is a fist emerging from a pile of bootstraps. Sing me a broken song until we claim crit time as our own time zone, until we claim nonverbal communication as our official language. We've existed long before there was a word for other. Sing me a broken song until we stop calling ourselves special, until we who identify as disabled, or a person with a disability, or neurodiverse, or chronically ill, or sick, or mad, or spoony, can all agree on one singular unifying term for all of us. May I recommend gods, legends, royalty, righteous, regal, the muse, the masterpiece, the maestro sing. Sing me a broken song from your sick bed, from your shower chair, from your safe space. Wearing your fashionable adapted jeans from your overpriced wheelchair and your overpriced wheelchair modified vehicle. Sing it with your pill case gripped tightly a rock star launching anthems of anarchy, sing it, until they came are recognized for their amazing contributions, not because of enablement and antiquated assertion that our ancestors created us solely to inspire them. Sing their broken song until the disabled couple in the apartment next door get a fully accessible house with a fully accessible yard and a fully accessible neighborhood. And the promise of paradise is a stone slaying every Goliath. And our heartbreak becomes the sun in January. And we learn to harness the heat with flannel throws elegantly adorned on our brokenness. And we learn to juggle hot stones like we do our insecurities. And we kiss each other with longing lips and fall into each other's arms, our torsos contorted in a mosaic masterpiece of messy. Sing their broken song until Kurt Joy forms glaciers from the four corners of the world, freezing fascism and false freedom for 40 days and nights. Sing it until ice becomes water, and we plant gardens on the rubble of institutions, and we make playgrounds out of its metal and steel, and libraries and cultural centers that will forever document our existence, that will forever preserve our songs. So sing me a broken song with pianos and violins and saxophones and instruments that sound like prosthetics dancing on a wood floor, and crutches creating cadence, and hands signing symphony out of silence, and the whisper of the voice that has been unheard for too long. Sing it. Without the prayers and offerings left on street corners, sing it until candles at funerals burn, because our loved ones have returned with jars of tears that we use to make streams and rivers and fountains of wine. Sing it until different and other become the words that we use to describe love and liberation. So sing me a broken song. Thank you everyone again for being in space. And remember, Disability Pride is not just a 1 month thing, it's a lifestyle thing. So I always carry that disability pride with you if you identify as such. And be a good ally to someone if you don't identify. Thank you again, everyone. Have a good night.